A week after the U.S. Supreme Court ruling against Texas's razor wire along the border, the southern state appears to be intent on defiance.
Look, they stood down. They said they're not going to cut the wire, and it's good news for them because they would have needed a lot of wire cutters because we have a whole lot of wire. And if they had snipped it and cut it, we would have replaced it right away. We're going to put wire down the entire border.
Welcome into TYT Overruled. I am your host, Adrienne Lawrence.
That's why, Maria, when I say it's an invasion, it is an invasion. It's a cartel army. You know, the founders never dreamed we'd have a president like this one who would just open the door to everyone. And they said, well, invasion if an army came. Well, we're facing an army.
Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has made clear that his state has no intention of complying with the Supreme Court ruling allowing border agents to remove the razor wire. But now he's going even further by indicating that he'd authorize Texas agents to fight with federal border agents. He doesn't seem to care if there were significant consequences as a result of the conflict.
Yeah, we're facing an army. And they're well armed, they're well coordinated, they're making millions and millions of dollars off of Joe Biden. Don't mess with Texas. We're serious about securing our border, and I'm glad the president stood down on Friday and did not confront us. That would be the wrong thing to do. We don't want a confrontation, and they shouldn't want a confrontation. We're just doing our job. Let us do our job.
Because, I mean, what is this going to turn into a civil war? I mean, you've got the Texas rights versus federal rights, both sides with guns.
And we believe constitutionally we are right. We have a right to defend our citizens. We have a right to defend this country. And we're just doing the job.
Of course, members of the GOP in other states are egging Texas on, such as South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem.
You think Texas should defy the Supreme Court and stop federal agents from removing that razor wire. Do you think Texas should do that? Should they defy the Supreme Court?
Texas should stand their ground. They should enforce their state law and go back to the constitutional rights that they've been granted to protect their state sovereignty.
Doesn't seem Noem cares about the consequences here.
You said that you could be willing to send South Dakota National Guard troops down to the border again. We heard from your colleague in Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt, that the situation could lead to a force-on-force conflict. Congressman Clay Higgins said the feds are staging a civil war. There is real concern that things between Texas and the federal government could turn violent. Are you worried about that?
Well, that's why I went to the border on Friday. I went there to see with my own eyes what was going on and recognizing that I am, as governor of South Dakota, I'm commander-in-chief of my National Guard. That's a heavy responsibility that sits on our shoulders. We have the same responsibility for those families and those soldiers that the president should feel for our military and how he engages them. So we don't know where this will escalate. We don't know what the president will do. We don't know how he'll try to manipulate our soldiers and if he will even defend our country from this invasion that is happening.
While Texas blames Biden and pushes the cartel narrative,
it's a cartel army.
Republicans in Congress are rejecting bills to curb immigration at the border. Why is that? Well, it appears that passing an immigration bill under the Biden administration would make Biden look good to the detriment of Donald Trump. Even Republican Rick Scott is annoyed by this gamesmanship.
Washington Post says this: Democrats are offering something Republicans have wanted for years, but dear leader Trump says no, and suddenly GOP senators are afraid to say yes. How much of your objection is based primarily on the former president's objection to this bill that he hasn't seen either?
He's irrelevant to this conversation. He's not in office. All right. And by the way, I talked to President Trump. He's never asked me to be opposed something. But you know what? The American voters are in the same position Trump's in and the same position I'm in. We need to secure the border today, and the only way you can do that with a lawless administration is you have to make them do it. You have to tie it to something. And what I don't get is Mitch McConnell doesn't want to do that. It's the most important thing we want out of this bill.
What are your thoughts on Texas's efforts to defy SCOTUS while the GOP and Congress play politics? You let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit those like and follow buttons, and thanks for watching.